Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Candace Kendall. I'm the president and CEO of Tuolumne County Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to our candidates night. Tonight we will hear from candidates running in 5 different races. We'll begin the evening with the candidates vying for Tuolumne County Superior Court Judge. Then we'll move on to the City Council race. And finally, the candidates hoping to be elected as County Supervisor for Districts 1, 4, and 5. We want to thank them all for coming out here this evening and participating in this informative event. Please give your full attention tonight to these candidates who have taken the time to participate with us tonight. To make this presentation as fair as possible, each candidate has been asked, or will be, to draw a number before they're seated to determine where they sit on the panel. Candidates seated in seat 1 will answer the first question, and seat 2 the second question, and so on. The first candidate to respond will have 1 minute and 30 seconds to answer, while the remaining candidates will have 1 minute to answer the same question. Prior to questions, each candidate will have 1 minute and 30 seconds to make an opening statement. And then at the end of the question and answer period, each candidate will have 2 minutes to make a closing statement. Questions will be drawn at random from a set of submitted questions, and they'll be asked by our panel. Our panelists tonight are Lynn Riddle with the Union Democrat newspaper. She's the editor. Dave Souther is representing the Chamber's Government Affairs Committee, and Margaret Davis, the board chair of the Tuolumne County Chamber of Commerce. Our timers tonight are Cara Rochelle. She's a board director, and Laura Jennings, also a board director and member of GAC. Our timers will help keep the candidates on track. Candidates and timers will be able to see the remaining time by flashcards, I think, yeah. And at the end of their allotted time, we urge the candidates to wrap up their responses quickly. There are index cards around. I think Mike Ayala has index cards if anyone has questions they'd like to submit tonight. Just put your hands up and he'll come around and give that to you, or find him. Questions must be legible, easy to understand, and different from what has already been asked. Your question may make it to the panel, will make it to the panel, but may not necessarily be asked, depending on time and availability. Finally, this event is being recorded. No obscene language, no rude language. Please be kind and courteous to everyone around. Candidates, this is not a one-on-one. Please address the panel and the audience only, not the other candidates. If a one-on-one does occur, the aggrieved candidate will have 30 seconds to rebut. If this continues, the offending candidate will lose 20 seconds for each offense. The aggrieved candidate will gain 20 seconds. So nobody wants that. All right, so let's keep it nice and friendly, and we will begin. Yes, so the candidates for this Superior Court Judge, we have David Beiersdorf and Laura Krieg. So David will go first.
Are you giving me 5 minutes?
Oh. So sorry, just 1 second. My bad. Come on, Debbie. Okay, Debbie's just going to tell us a little bit about the process and the electoral process for our county and what's happening with them.
That's okay. So I get like 5 minutes. So as hopefully you all know, Tuolumne County has embraced the voter's choice model for elections. So this election, the voter has a whole lot more choices on how to vote. So we will have 5 vote centers that will start open. We have one already open. Mine downstairs in elections office is open every day, Monday through Friday, from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock that you can vote at, starting now, actually starting about a week ago. Then on February 22nd, 2 more vote centers will open up, Memorial Hall in Tuolumne City and Wilson Realty in Jamestown. The really great thing about vote centers versus the 27 polling places that we used to have is any voter can go to any of the vote centers and they will be given their correct ballot. And a voter for the first time will be able to vote on every single race he or she should have been able to vote for, because if you went in the past to a polling place and you were not in that polling place area, you were given a ballot for that polling place and not your ballot, we would have to duplicate 1,400 provisional ballots we won't have to do again, which will speed up the process. But for more important for me is every voter will be given the ballot that he or she should vote on, and they will have the ability to vote for every race that they should vote on. So then on February 29th, 2 more vote centers will open up in Twain Hart Bible, which used to be the old Black Oak School, and my mind just went blank, and Groveland, and Groveland, and Groveland Library will open up. There is also already opened 4 drop-off centers, and I'm really happy to tell you on Monday morning, the Sheriff's Community Service people, they're going to be our people who pick up ballots and pick up everything at the drop-off centers, picked up 60 ballots over the weekend. So the drop-off centers are in Miwok at the Miwok Library, which used to be the old fire station. Thank you, Margaret. At the junction, underneath the clock, at the junction, Sonora Elementary, Columbia Elementary, and of course downstairs for me. So the voter has a lot of choices. You do not have to vote on Election Day. You can vote starting now. You can vote 10 days before Election Day at the 2 opened vote centers. You can vote any day all the way from now up until Election Day. You can drop off your ballots at the drop-off centers. You can still drop off your ballots at the post office. Do not put any postage on your ballot. Part of the SB 450, the voter's choice, is that the Register of Voters has to pay for that. The other thing that we've started this year that I hope some of you will do is you want to trust, or if you want to kind of check where your ballot is, it's called Where's My Ballot? You can sign up at the Secretary of State's office. They will send you either via email, phone call, or text when your ballot's mailed, when your ballot's received downstairs, whether or not we've accepted your ballot. If we haven't accepted your ballot, then they will tell you why. The reasons why we don't accept your ballot is A, you forget to sign your envelope, or B, Randy signs Gloria and Gloria signs Randy's, and as long as you send them both in, we will count both of them. But if only Randy's ballot, which is really Gloria's ballot, shows up, we can't count that ballot. And then we send you out a letter where Where's My Ballot? You'll find out the same day that we say we reject your ballot, that your ballot has an issue. You can come down to 2 South Green Street. You can cure your ballot by signing the envelope if you forgot, or if Randy and Gloria signed each other's, bring the one that's missing, and then we will count that. So the voter has a lot of choices on how to do it, but the main thing is you will be given the ballot that you should as a voter. Thank you. I will put these somewhere neutral. I'm going to put it right here. So where's my ballot and all the locations? Whoops, I picked your stuff.
Yeah, I was.
See, I treated you. Go. Now we're even.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Sorry about that. Okay, let's get started. David.
First off, can everybody hear me in the back of the room? I prefer to stand so I can see people rather than using the mic. Okay, so, all right, we'll speak up. I'm David Byersdorf. I'm running for Superior Court Judge. I do appreciate everybody coming out tonight. It's nice to see a lot of people who are actually interested in the election. I want to tell you a little bit about myself. We have a very short time, so I'm going to make it fast and probably talk fast. But I am a local guy. I was born in Sonora, grew up here, went to Jamestown Elementary School, Sonora High School. When I was putting myself through college, I worked as a firefighter at the Forest Service at the Stanislaus National Forest here. This is where I'm from, and this is my home. I've been practicing law for about 18 years, a little more than 18 years. I started practicing law in Washington State, which is where I got my Juris Doctor degree and first got licensed. I only practiced there about 2 years before moving back to California. Since I've been back, I've been practicing law throughout Central California. I've handled just about every kind of case that would be heard in the Superior Court level, from family law to criminal cases, real estate transactions, contracts. I've done it all. Day one, I've already learned the law and I've seen it. I know what to do as soon as we walk in. Lastly, I'll say I have also made it a point to give back to my community. I've done volunteer work with battered women, with the high school kids mock trial, with the Police Activities League when I was down in Fresno. I like to give back to the community, and my time is up. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Good evening. I'm Laura Krieg. I am also running for Superior Court Judge, and I am your elected district attorney. I have 17 years, going on 17 years of legal experience. I started at a large law firm in San Francisco where I did contracts, I did white-collar criminal defense, I did some labor and employment and some real estate. And then wanting to return to my community, I am a sixth-generation native to Tuolumne County. I applied and started at the District Attorney's Office in 2005. My 15-year anniversary of the District Attorney's Office is next month, on March 21st. I was hired by then District Attorney Donald Segerstrom, who is now our presiding judge. And as District Attorney, I've handled thousands of cases, including homicides, human trafficking, sexual assault, child abuse. I've also secured and brought in over $1 million of grant funding to start up our Elder Abuse Task Force and to open our first ever Child Advocacy Center, which we just did a grand opening in November, which brings all kinds of services to one location for children. I'm endorsed by Sheriff Bill Pooley, Chief of Police Drew Vanderweel, retired Sheriff Jim Neely, as well as Superintendent of Schools Kathy Parker, and retired Superintendents of Schools Margie Bolkin and Joe Silva. I am excited about my run. I am ready to hit the ground running. I also have done multiple areas of law, and I ask for your vote on or before March 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Can you explain your judicial philosophy in layman's terms?
Sure. Yes.
David.
So I have a philosophy of basically listening. I want a good, neutral environment in the court. So when people think about the court system, most of the time people automatically just think of criminal law cases, and that is a big part. But we also have family law and civil disputes and probate cases. And what you have is just about everything, with the exception of adoptions, I would say, but just about everything people come into the court for is a miserable thing, and they don't want to be there, and it's a hard place to be. Nobody's happy to be there, and my philosophy is make sure everyone who walks in that door who's already having a bad day doesn't have a worse day. We want to make sure everybody's heard. I don't care if it's a little guy or a big guy. There are no little guys and big guys. If it's a millionaire or a homeless person, if they walk into the court, everyone gets their say, everyone gets to be heard, and they get to know that they've been actually listened to. We want to treat everybody with respect. That is the number one thing I think that we can do with in the court. Obviously, the judge needs to handle the law, know the law, make sure everyone follows the rules, but I believe that sometimes civility is a little bit lacking in our courts. I need to make sure that it's no longer lacking. Thank you.
Okay. Did you remember it?
I remember it.
Okay.
My judicial philosophy is also honesty, integrity, and fairness to all parties. I think all parties are entitled to equal justice under the law. That's a given. My other judicial philosophy is we need to be innovative in this day and age. In the last decade, we have seen massive and drastic changes to the law in the state of California that directly impacts our communities. This started with AB 109, then Prop 47, and Prop 57. I sit on the board of directors for the California District Attorneys Association, and I have been at the table at a state level dealing with these changes of the law as they come down. We're also facing SB 10 and a change to a no bail system. I'm working with the courts right now on implementing our pretrial assessment program. So I think a judge in today's age in the state of California needs to be a leader and bring innovation to the courts, because we cannot keep doing business the way we've been doing business.
Second question, we start with you, Laura. What do you believe to be the root cause for the high number of juvenile offenders, truants? What changes can the court system make to reduce these numbers?
That's a great question. In California, what we have seen in the area of juvenile offenders is overall, when we look at total offenders, we've seen a reduction in juvenile crime at a state level. But what we've seen, which is disturbing, is sort of an increase in violent crimes. And that hit our community here in the last year, where we had 2 juveniles commit a very, very heinous homicide. So I think that one of the things we need to do, and I'm a member of Fight Crime, Keep California Safe for Kids. This is starts at preschool age education, and also I am currently implementing Project LEAD with the County Superintendent of Schools, which brings a law teaching class to 5th grade classrooms in our community, where we teach them about the system and about the law, about law enforcement. The sheriff has done an excellent job in community outreach, and so I think the way to prevent juvenile crime is through education and also awareness and knowledge of rights. And so, the good news is we're seeing a trend declining on a state level, but I think that we need to get to our children early and we need to educate them. It's my number one priority is education. I think that is the best reducer of crime in the future.
Thank you. So maybe I see it from a little bit of different point of view, but I do believe that when we're talking about juvenile offenders, a great deal of the issue has to do with the parents of the juvenile offenders. Kids don't start out bad, and they aren't bad by nature, they're good by nature. Something's going on in the households that leads to whatever sort of deviant behavior is happening. And I do think that a lot of what's happening in a lot of households where these kids are coming from is a lot of drug use, and we have parents who either aren't there or they might be using drugs and they're not supervising their kids. So we need to get to the root of what's going on with the parents. Perhaps we start looking at treatment programs. Another thing that I'll just say really quickly is, in the past, when I grew up, if a kid got in a fight at school, a fist fight, they got suspended. Now we actually we see a lot of them with a felony charge. So some of it's just more charging for the same stuff.
David, we'll start with you on this one. What would be the greatest challenge of going to the bench as compared to practicing law?
Okay, so that isn't one that I'd given a lot of thought to before, and I'll just be straight with you. But I think, so when I take on a case, I know what my job is. My job is to represent my client, and whatever happens with someone else is someone else's issue. And that's kind of the point of view that I'm taking now. A judge must not do that. So a judge needs to be completely neutral from the get-go. Now, that is what I strive for, but it's going to be the biggest change in what I'm doing. Rather than advocating any position, one side or the other, the goal is to get to the truth, to let all sides say their part, and then sometimes the judge is the trier of fact and would make the ultimate decision. Sometimes the judge is just a referee for the jury to make the ultimate decision. But the biggest challenge, I think, is going to be looking at things always from a neutral perspective and never taking sides.
Thank you. I think the greatest challenge is going to be that currently I work in a wonderful office, and you have a lot of people that you can bounce ideas off and you can collaborate and you can talk about your cases with. And in my conversations with judges who have made that transition, who were previously in the sector, either as district attorney or private counsel, and then have gone to the bench, is that your world becomes much smaller. And you sort of talk to your other judges about your cases, but you don't really reach out beyond that. I think that'll be a challenge because I like that collaboration with law enforcement agencies and education and all different people. But I think when you're deciding cases, you have to, very much be impartial, and you have your other colleagues on the bench to discuss with. But that group becomes a little smaller. And then my other issue I would say is, again, I'm a collaborator, and I want to bring collaboration to the courts. I'm hoping that isn't a challenge, but I understand that, resources and things can confine that at times.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to start with Laura. What do you perceive as the greatest obstacles to justice in Tuolumne County?
Greatest obstacles to justice in Tuolumne County. Well, right now, what's been really high on my radar is the fact that we don't have collaborative courts in Tuolumne County. It's something I've pushed for as district attorney starting in my first year. I pushed for a veterans treatment court, and we got right up to a meeting with the presiding judge, and we could not get that court started. And Calaveras has a wonderful model. As my years have gone on, I've seen the absolute essential need for a homeless court. When we talk about collaborative courts, we talk about specialty courts. We don't need a separate veterans court and a separate homeless court, but we do need a collaborative court where we can hear veterans treatment cases, mental health diversion cases, and homeless cases, because I think that we can collaborate and identify people who we could wrap with services, who then can be ordered into programs to fit either their mental health issues, their substance abuse issues, their PTSD issues, and this needs to be monitored and overseen by a court who can work with outside agencies and parties to provide the resources that these individuals need, because the end goal is rehabilitation and treatment, not incarceration. And so right now, because we don't have collaborative courts in Tuolumne County, I see that's the number one problem, and that's my number one passion on my platform, is to start collaborative courts in Tuolumne County.
I want to make sure I get the actual call of the question, so.
What do you perceive as the greatest obstacles to justice in Tuolumne County?
Okay, I'm going to just come out and say it, money. What we have at the court level is just the same problems that every other public entity has. It's a funding problem. I will agree with Laura. I'm not going to disagree with her, what she just said. It's all true. But specifically, though, we do have on the books, we have a veterans diversion that is available. The legislature created a law that we can use to get veterans out of the criminal court system. We use it rarely because we don't have the funding to have a veterans court and to have the programs. We have mental health programs that the legislature wrote into law that we can use in the courts that we don't have the funding to take advantage of. Even down to the court reporters in our courts. We go into court sometimes and there's no court reporter and nobody can get anything done because the one court reporter that we have been able to hire is in a different department and everyone has to wait. So it's money.
Thank you.
Okay, that was the last question for you guys. Thank you very much.
Do we get a closing statement?
Yes, your closing statement. Oh, I'm new to this, can you tell? Okay, so we have closing statements for the candidates. You have 2 minutes, and we start with one.
Okay, thank you. So I do appreciate you all taking the time to listen tonight. Not a whole lot of information, I would imagine, was gleaned from that. I am sure Laura's going to stick around. I know I'm going to stick around. Be happy to talk with folks. I'm going to stay to the end. If at the end anyone has any further questions, very happy to talk to you. Just want to get across to everyone, I'm the guy with the experience. I have worked in dozens of courts throughout this state. I've worked also in the state of Washington. I've handled every kind of case that is going to be in front of the Superior Court judge, and I haven't done that for just a year and then moved over to the DA's office. I respect Ms. Krieg. She is a very good DA, but she has one set of experience that's all in criminal and a very little bit outside of that. I have done it all, and I've practiced all of the areas of law that I'll be seeing in court for the last 18 years without stop. So as far as experience goes, I'm going to tell you right now, I am the person that's ready to go day one. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'm going to have to disagree with Mr. Byers there. First of all, I worked for over 2 years at a law firm in San Francisco. I've appeared on arbitration boards, federal court, and multiple state courts. Moreover, if you look at prior great judges on our bench, previous DAs, Judge Segerstrom, Donald Segerstrom, previous district attorney. Judge Eric Dutemple, previous district attorney. I have experience in all areas, and moreover, I have the most trial experience of any candidate. I've also, as a DA, represented children in child welfare proceedings, and we also do a lot of civil areas, for instance, asset forfeiture. Moreover, the district attorney serves as one of the legal advisors to the grand jury, and I've worked very closely with the grand jury on all the issues that they have investigated pertaining to the county in the last 5 years as the elected district attorney. So I have a wealth of experience, and also it's very important that your judge be actively involved in the changes that are coming out of Sacramento that directly impact the laws in the community here. For instance, SB 10, as I mentioned before, is on the books to go to eliminate bail. That discretion is going to be left to judges to decide who provides a risk to the community and who can be released and who can't be released. So a lot of discretion going to the judges out of SB 10. I understand SB 10, and I'm currently working with the court to implement the pretrial assessment program. Mental health is a huge issue for me. I sit on the Community Corrections Partnership, the CCP, and I am the one that brought the goal to the table and said we need to have better mental health treatment services here locally. We cannot send our people out to languish in state hospitals. We need to get treatment here, and we need to do it locally. As Superior Court judge, I am an innovator, and I will bring those collaborative courts and those solutions to our county. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tuolumne County Elections wants you to choose how you vote. Use a vote-by-mail ballot and return it by mail, at a drop box, or at any vote center, or vote in person at a vote center. Learn more by searching online for Tuolumne County Elections.
All right, so welcome, candidates. We'll start with your introductions. You have 1 minute and 30 seconds for your introductions.
Okay. Good evening. I'm Matt Hawkins. I'm your current Mayor Pro Tem and Council Member for the City of Sonora. I want to thank the Tuolumne County Chamber of Commerce for hosting this Candidates Night. I previously served on the Sonora City Council from 2010 to 2014, the Sonora Elementary School Board from 2007 to 2010, and the Sonora Chamber of Commerce Board from 2008 to 2010. My wife, Chelsea, and I, along with our 6 children, reside in downtown Sonora in our home that's over 120 years old. I have over 20 years' experience in the retail and restaurant industries. I currently work for a manufacturing facility in East Sonora. As a member of your Sonora City Council, I've advocated and will continue to advocate a balanced budget that includes support for our city police, city fire, and our city public works departments. I believe in transparency, honesty, and integrity in everything I do. There are 4 great choices running for 3 open positions on the Sonora City Council. I ask to be one of your choices. Vote Matt Hawkins on or before March 3rd, and I thank you for your support.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Mark Plummer. I'm currently on the City Council as well. And to me, politics is aspirational. But the first thing, because we're looking to the future, but the first thing that one should ask an incumbent is not who they are, but what they've done. I was probably the first elected official who asked for metrics on the TCEDA. We couldn't get any. It never happened. And eventually, the entire organization cascaded into, well, almost oblivion. We're still dealing with the aftermath, but because of the way it was organized. I think working with the county was a great concept. In that instance, it just didn't work out very well, but we need to be willing to talk. Already, gracious. So, I am proud that we have had as a council a balanced budget, a new fire safety ordinance, a new police chief who is great, and our first woman city administrator, Amy Rose, or Mary Rose, and look forward to working with her a great deal. Thank you very much. Gracious.
See, I'm not used to speaking into a microphone, so here we go. Hi, I'm Ann Sagerstrom, and I am a candidate for Sonora City Council. I'm a Tuolumne County native. I was born and raised here in Tuolumne County, and I am related to every Segerstrom that you probably know. I returned to live in Sonora about 3 years ago. I had a career as a publicist. I was a communications specialist for food service companies. And 3 years ago, I returned home. I'm living in my mother's house over on Myers Hill, which is one of the neighborhoods in this T-shirt that is my campaign T-shirt. But while I was a consultant, I ran my own business for 25 years, so I'm well learned in the responsibilities of a business owner. And I know how to build a stable of clients, provide them with the best, business possible service, and keep records and submit reports. If elected to City Council, I intend to apply the last 45 years of my business career. And as a dedicated, engaged Sonoran, I see a need for ensuring the vibrant city center, which when the courthouse leaves in 2 years, we need to think about that, and 2 years and beyond, improving budget transparency, taking a hard look at our community's economic development, and my time is up, so come see me after for more information.
For those of you who don't know me, I am Connie Williams. I have been on the Sonora City Council since 2012. While serving on the City Council, I was the mayor from July 2016 through June 2018. With a new city administrator coming on board, there is still much to be done to make the city the place you and others want to live and work, and where visitors want to come and visit. Before retiring in 2002, I was Director of Telecommunications for Cox Enterprises in Atlanta, and have owned several small businesses. I understand how important economic development is for the city of Sonora. Without tax generation, whether it be sales tax, transient occupancy tax, or personal property tax, the city of Sonora would not be able to provide police and fire services, which I feel are extremely important. Within the 3.5 square miles of the city of Sonora, I would like to continue to serve the city of Sonora. Vote for Connie.
Okay, first question goes to Matt. How will you promote better cooperation between the city and the county?
You know, I've gotten that question an awful lot, and I see some people laughing because it's the truth. There is very little cooperation between the city and the county now. It's broken down in the last 2 to 3 years. Now there's nothing. Basically, my biggest thing is reaching out. I believe in reaching out, finding out what common ground we have, and the city and the county should work together on just about everything we do. And it's just not happening. Biggest thing I'm doing and plan to do in the future and have done and tried to do is to, send a text message, send an email, offer a hand. Is there something we can work on together? The homelessness is a big one. Traffic, you name it. And I plan on and continue to do is to reach out. If we don't agree on something, that's fine, but let's not do this personally. And it's gotten personal between supervisors and city council members.
The question again, please.
How will you promote better cooperation between the city and the county?
First, I listen to people. I am polite, and I have a good relationship with 2 of the current board members, and at least have had some of the other candidates over to my house for wine and just to talk and chat. I am very approachable and open-minded for most things. Second Amendment being one of the things I'm a little less open-minded about. So the question to me is, how will I approach it? I think I am already doing so. As far as the specifics, we will need to work with the county regarding homelessness. If we can ever go forward on some type of economic development, if bad blood can be put aside, that would be good. There are a lot of things where the county is the elephant in the room that must be respected and dealt with. Thank you.
I spent 45 years in the communications business, so I think that opening conduits of communication is one thing that I do very well. I have spent a lot of time in this campaign talking to city residents, asking their opinions, seeing their ideas for ways to bring the city forward. So I look forward to working with the Board of Supervisors and developing new avenues of communication with them on issues that affect both the city and the county. Thank you.
So, communication is important. With a new city administrator, that will be helpful to work with the new supervisors and make things happen.
Mark, we'll start with you on this one. What actions would you take to address the increasing numbers of pedestrian vehicle accidents on city streets?
That's a tricky one. One of the reasons that we started the project in front of the Red Church was because of the high number of accidents there. I still have on a little side street, goes up towards Oronos, every time I cross it, because I walk down from there, somebody wants to run over my toes. Better signage, it's very difficult because better striping, better enforcement perhaps from the police, but they're somewhat undermanned for the jurisdiction they have. And we would like to see more policemen. We have another lieutenant coming on, I believe, shortly, but it's difficult.
We have an aging population in Sonora and the county.
Sorry.
I guess I'm done. Thank you very much. That's okay.
I am a frequent walker, and traffic has been a number one issue for me, especially in this race for city council. I've gone to a coffee with cops, and I understand that the police force, that maybe traffic control isn't their number one priority. However, having lived in San Francisco, I think there are ways that we can deal with it. There are things like traffic cameras. There are and signage, speed signage, and that kind of thing that I think could be implemented, as well as striping on Stewart and Green Street. I think we need a safer environment for families and pedestrians downtown.
We have an aging population in Sonora and the county. We need better sidewalks and crosswalks for those with disabilities.
Mark brought up the Red Church project, and, that's part of the reason why we're doing it. Basically, I go walking a lot. A lot of people will see me out with my wife and my children following along. So I've personally been hit by a car on a sidewalk while I was riding a bicycle. So safety, pedestrian safety, traffic safety is very important to me. Never in a time, and you can read many books and magazines, but never in a time if we had cars that are so quick and have such good braking, and quite frankly, that's part of the problem. So we got to get more education out. We've got taxes that are coming in from the state of California for better roads. I also believe in having more sidewalks. There's many places inside the city limits that do not have sidewalks, and I would like to see more put in.
Ann, what is your number one concern in the city of Sonora and how would you address it?
I think the number one concern right now is the moving of the courthouse in 2 years out of the center of the city and out beyond Lowe's. We're going to suffer a huge deficit in, a chasm in the middle of the city, and we need to look at methods of rejuvenating, revitalizing our downtown. And I have several ideas about reuse of the court facilities, research and reviewing placemaking, making the whole downtown a more friendly place for families. I've had several people talk to me about, things that would be more attractive to bringing families into the city. I think Sonora just needs to be a place for everyone, not just, a business center. It needs to be a magnet for the entire county.
Thank you. Connie, do you want the question again? No. Oh, okay.
Homeless services. All of the county services for the homeless are within the city of Sonora. Many of the homeless need mental health services or substance abuse services. We need help from the courts as well. Everyone's story is different. This is a city, county issue. Don't you think we should be working on a solution together? I do. But the county has not reached out to the city yet. Next week we will have a new city administrator. Maybe the county will reach out then.
Thank you. Matt?
Crime is number one. I know that I personally had my car broken into several months back. Some things stolen out of it. Drug use is rampant, whether it's homeless or not homeless or what have you. Public safety, we brought up the traffic earlier. Jobs. People that have good jobs usually aren't out committing crimes and doing other things. I think it really comes down to it. Downtown Sonora and empty buildings. And we've got empty buildings all over the city. And then homelessness. Homelessness needs to be addressed, and I know that we're going to do it and we're working on it. We've had some other opportunities with homeless, and we've answered it with a very low monetary amount taken from the city to answer part of it. So it's kind of my priorities.
Mark?
Limiting myself to one, I think the most important would be economic development. When the TCEDA fell apart, the city started a ground-up effort to start anew and start with public input first, include our business owners, interested parties, do the statistics. But the reason I choose economic development is because the courthouse move is part of that. All of the things that Matt alluded to is part of that. But without more money coming in, we are very limited in what we can do. We need to create new jobs for our kids, new opportunities to support our entrepreneurs, and to bring in more living wage jobs that would support big families, healthy families. Thank you.
Connie, we'll start with you. What would you like to see done in the community regarding the concern of increasing crime rates?
Police services. We just hired Chris Johnson and Matthew Bowen. We have one officer out on medical leave. We are actively recruiting for a lieutenant. We now have a school resource officer funded through a Department of Justice grant, which I made the suggestion to the police chief. One thing I am so thankful for is how the Sheriff's Department, the California Highway Patrol, and the Sonora Police back each other up.
Crime in the community, it actually goes back to even working with our future judges, and basically having something rolled out to where, first-time offenders basically learn what's going on, learn what they did wrong, but being tough on crime. We just hired several new police officers. We've got more coming in. and patrols. The other part is, and it just doesn't happen like it did 50, 60, 70 years ago, neighbors knowing each other. I know that I've reached out to probably 20 of my neighbors, and we all look after each other's house and that sort of thing. Amazingly, we haven't had any break-ins lately. Why? Because, hey, we'll call the police. Somebody's in your yard. Something's going on. I think that is so important, and it's just not brought up like it was. So that's part of my ideas.
It's a very tough one, because I just had a $1,700 saw, well, that was the replacement cost, stolen from me. I guess it was about 5 weeks ago. That's always hard to bear. But I'm afraid that we have to go to Sacramento for this. I think it was AB 47, the go light on crime. It's not even criminal until, it's not a felony until it's over $850, is destroying a lot of our businesses, hurting Walmart, and compelling them to basically treat everyone walking out the door as a potential thief. I resent that, but what Sacramento has done is morally corrosive, and at a local level, outside of trying to support our police, get more police if we can, for my saw, there's nothing they can do. It's gone. It's probably been hawked for $50, and we need to treat this at a state level. Thank you.
Thanks. Well, certainly we should support our local law enforcement on all levels. As Connie said, they are integrated, they help each other, and we need to help them with community alerts and that kind of thing. I also agree with Matt that neighborhood watches are a good deterrent for crime. I went to a meeting recently where the neighbors had it all planned out and just, needed to integrate with the police department to find out the best ways to protect their homes. I think, finally, I think that's it. Thank you.
Who started? Connie did. Start with Matt here at number one.
Matt, if elected, what would you do to make the entryways into the city more welcoming, particularly the Highway 108 exits to Stockton and Washington Streets?
Good question. 10 years ago, when I first ran for this spot, one of the things I advocated for with the Sonora Chamber of Commerce being on the board was that we had more signage. It got a little more difficult than that. We've got a city council now that will basically bug the state of California, bug Caltrans in trying to get more signage. To me, I think that's one of the biggest things. Hey, we're Sonora, we're here.
Economic development, Chabin concept. I represent all of the
I love working with Connie. I really do. She's awesome. She really is. But, basically making sure, one, it's clean. There's no trash around, because who wants to stop at a place where you see a bunch of trash and some signs? But then the biggest thing is just signage. It's advertising. It's, hey, we're here. We're Sonora. We've got gas stations. We've got amazing restaurants. Just stop downtown. You can find any place that's just really, really good. But I just believe more signage. I think it's pretty simple, and working with the state of California.
I think I come back to economic development, support our businesses, attractive, flourishing businesses as people come into town, make it more attractive. I'm thinking especially of South Washington Street. We have a new business going in there that is going to, renovate the old foundry, and everything that we can do that makes it vibrant and well off, where people are proud of what they're doing, will make it more attractive. I mean, Matt dealt with signage. That's something that's helpful, especially for bathrooms. That would be really good. But it seems like it's harder to get that type of thing than one should expect. With a new city administrator, I look forward to perhaps some changes in that type of relationship. Thank you very much.
I think we need to revisit the Vision Sonora plan. If you go online, the original plans were 2014, and they do supply really impressive signage. I mean, elegant things, the gateways and wayfinding signs to parks, parking, restrooms. I understand that it's all about grants and working with Caltrans, but there are wonderful ideas that remain to be implemented and should be revisited. Budgetarily, they'll have to, be looked at, but I don't see any reason for not resurrecting interest.
Economic development. Chabin Concepts recently did a review of the city of Sonora's current economic situation. The report identifies 4 key areas to focus on regarding economic development. They include downtown revitalization, filling vacant buildings, recruiting new residents, and growing industry sectors. Industry sectors include: an overnight visitor spends 3 times more than a day visitor. The city needs to work more closely with the Visitors Bureau in promoting historic Sonora. The Vision Sonora Committee is looking at signs to bring travelers off Highway 108 into historic Sonora. It was recently announced Wilco will be taking the former Osh location. Also, the Bagel Bin opened a second location on South Washington Street. The Bayer clothing store building has been remodeled and is for lease. East Linneburg has become a gathering spot. Stop and enjoy a cup of coffee.
Is this the last question? All right, this is the last question. All right, start with you, Matt.
With me?
Yeah. How would you like to see the issue of the transit and or homeless population included in the conversation?
Number 2.
Oh, number 2? Oh, it's
Okay.
Mark, okay.
The second
Yeah, you
Matt.
were right, you were first. Yeah, that's
So-
Mark.
Well, I think Nancy's Hope and Miss Mitchell, or Mrs. Mitchell, have been doing a good job of involving them in certain respects. One of the programs that they've started is getting them to pick up trash and pay for new jeans, bicycles, tents, etc., with trash that they've collected. To me, this is brilliant, because one of the problems with the homeless is we're probably not going to fix the issue if Seattle and San Francisco, with billion-dollar budgets for them, can't fix anything and it's getting worse. We're not going to fix it. But what the city can do, and this is what I've advocated for, is to deal with the problems that they create vis-a-vis our businesses, the rest of the population. And that is something that I think is manageable. To include them, some of them don't want to be included, and there's no way consistent with their civil rights that we can compel them to. Some of them do, and we use the term homeless for a huge swath of population that is having difficulty. I'm certain that moms living in cars with their kids are open to all kinds of assistance and really want to come out of it. And they are not the same people who are defecating on business owners' door stoops.
Okay. Ann?
Well, homelessness is a broad and deep problem, and there's really not one silver bullet solution. Frequently brought up at these meetings is a collaborative type of effort with government and religious and or faith-based and other charitable organizations working together. It's an education problem, it's a resettlement problem, and a tough one for anyone to develop a single solution. But as a city council, we would work with the Tuolumne County and the other organizations for solutions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Connie?
Homeless services. All of the county services for the homeless are within the city of Sonora. Many of the homeless need mental health services or substance abuse services. We need help from the courts as well. Everyone's story is different. This is a city, county issue. Don't you think we should be working on a solution together? I do. but the county has not reached out to the city yet. Next week we will have a new city administrator. Maybe the county will reach out then.
Okay, thank you, Connie. Matt, now your turn.
We've got so many entities wanting to jump in and help out. Hazel Mitchell with the shower bus, the drop-in center that's just right down the street. Mark Dyken with the tiny homes. Got lots of churches, but it comes down to working with the county. Government can't solve the problems, but we can jump in and help, and we have to work together, and we're not working together, plain and simple. The county and the city are not working together. I know a lot of the homeless from my prior job with Carl's Jr. They'd come in, I'd make sure they got a lot of times something to eat, but I don't like talking about, having to do that, but having to talk about it. But it breaks my heart because there's drug use, there's just bad situations. A lot of people, due to things way out of their control, they end up homeless. So not one solution will fit all, period. I am concerned people should be fed. People should be able to eat.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, 2 minutes, actually, to do your closing statements. And who did we start with? We'll start with Anne.
Well, I would like to end my part in tonight's proceedings on a high note. I'm passionate about many issues, but above all, I'm passionate about living in Sonora and helping to make the city of my choice the best it can be. I spent a career in communications, so I plan to extend that skill to opening up conversations with all generations and all categories of Sonora residents. Tonight, we talked a lot about problems and solving them. Let's keep this momentum and the conversation going. Good government doesn't happen in a vacuum. Together, we can create a city that meets the needs and expectations of our residents, our unincorporated neighbors, and our visitors. Join me, and let's aim for the best and the brightest future for Sonora. Thank you.
I was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease in April 2019. I will never accomplish what Stephen Hawking did with Lou Gehrig's disease, but with my experience over the last 8 years, I can be of value to the city of Sonora.
Oh, that was quick. I want to thank the other city council candidates that are running. I thank them for their open, honest, and quite frankly, nice campaigns. It's been a joy to get to know Ann and working with Connie and Mark. Years ago, when I got into public service, I made a commitment, not just to myself and not just to my family, but to my God, to fight for the underdog and the little guy. I was going to remain transparent, honest, and hardworking. It's no secret that the city and the county haven't gotten along, and it's been that way for several years, almost to where it's came across as being, quite frankly, the county bullying us. And it's just not worked. The TCEDA is a prime example. City council did the right thing and we pulled the plug. I look forward to working with one, if not 3 new board of supervisors. In the next 4 years, I don't want to see sales tax raised, but I would like to renegotiate our tax rate with annexation added into that mix. Currently, the city, out of every tax dollar that comes in inside the city limits, the city gets to keep 16 cents of that small amount of tax dollars, while the county gets the 84 cents. Again, I plan on working with local groups, churches, ACCA, and different service organizations and apply for grants to help fix the homelessness issue, but it's not a one-size-fits-all. There are many reasons people are homeless, and there are many things we can do to fix that. I'm going to continue to push to fix sidewalks, the streets, the pothole issue, and I would like to see something begin on our 160-year-old city's main drain. I'll continue to advocate for our city's historic downtown and our businesses. We've still got a lot of vacant buildings. I'll always be reachable, honest, and transparent. And I ask you to vote for Matt Hawkins on or before March 3rd, and I thank you for your support.
If reelected, well, first let me start off. It has been an honor to work with everyone on the city council. They are dedicated, and everyone involved really tries to do the best and cares a lot about the city, and it's an honor to work with them. Should I be reelected, I would like to go forward working with our police chief, who has an idea that I think has a lot of merit for dealing with helping some of the homeless, those who want it, and having alternatives to help the rest of the community for those who don't. I'm a fiscal conservative, and I am proud that we have been in the black. It's a group effort and the city administrator, but it's also something that we have all striven for. And having the financial ability to open up, make new decisions, try new things is a real boon. Our new plan, or the plan that we're working on for economic development, it's really exciting, starting something from the ground up. Whether I'm reelected or not, we really want all the community involvement and suggestions possible. We certainly can't think of everything and are not approaching this from a top down. We've got the solution. So I ask for your continued support. I bring experience and reliability to the job, and appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you all.
Tuolumne County Elections wants you to choose how you vote. Use a vote-by-mail ballot and return it by mail, at a drop box, or at any vote center, or vote in person at a vote center. Learn more by searching online for Tuolumne County Elections.
Okay, Candace, now have 1 minute and 30 seconds for opening statements. Sherry, we'll start with you.
Thank you, and thank you to the Tuolumne County Chamber for hosting this event. This opportunity is really valuable. When you're doing the job and spending 40 hours plus a week working on your behalf, having the opportunity to talk to so many folks in one location is so important. And so I thank you for all attending. I hope you're listening. I hope you're listening for specific information, because I think we all want the best for the county. None of us want to see pieces fail, but really be thinking about specifically what are folks going to do. My number one priority is called out in the Constitution is public safety. That is the one piece that we are directed as your county supervisor. So for me, it is always going to be front and center. Additionally, I think we're going to have some time to really explore some conversations around economic development. I'm hoping that we have an opportunity to talk about city-county relationships, because those are important, and fire resiliency and community health. So with that, again, thank you for being here. Really appreciate your attendance.
Okay, I was born and raised here in Sonora, a fourth-generation county native, graduating from Sonora High and UC Davis. I've been served on the city council since July of 2015, and as your mayor since July of 2018. Prior to that, I've served on the County Planning Commission for 5 years in 2 different stints, and have 18 years of different government and nonprofit profit boards and committees. I offer those years of experience serving at the city and county level, a strong working knowledge of local government, and the passion and desire to make government work effectively and efficiently. I have a proven track record of successful fiscal and operational oversight in both the public and private sectors. Proper oversight is necessary for government working well for its citizens, and it's always been my top priority. I believe in open government and that government agencies must work together to pool scarce resources to provide quality services, and I'll work very hard to mend the current city-county rift. I believe we must work with Columbia College and other educational entities to teach our working population the skills of the jobs of tomorrow, not just the jobs of yesterday. I believe we need a supervisor who spends more time on the problems of the first district than issues in the high country. We cannot continually push the same policies and expect different results. We must move forward with solutions that work. That's what I bring to the County Board of Supervisors, a willingness to work hard and find effective solutions.
Good evening. My name's David Goldenberg. I'm running for the Board of Supervisors, District 1 seat. I came to this county in 1982, and I just absolutely love it here. The beauty of this county, everything that we've got going on, is just such a great place to be. My career brought me here initially. I worked for CAL FIRE for 35 years, and I came up here, you know, and I just loved it, and I've worked here and kept my permanent residence here since 1982. I moved in promoting out of the county several times. I went down to Tulare County as a battalion chief, and then I went to Sacramento headquarters for CAL FIRE, where I managed a large-scale, very complex project for a new computer-aided dispatch system. This was a 911 dispatch system statewide. That project, I'm proud to say that, you know, it came in at just 1.5% over budget, so it shows my fiscal management abilities. I then went on to promote to Deputy Chief of Command and Control, and I had the entire dispatch system for the whole state of California. I worked with the legislature, the governor's office. I wrote legislation for the department and analyzed legislation. I have a lot of skills both in budget management as well as fire management. Thank you.
Sherry, we'll start with you, and you get your wish. Very first question out of the bag from the audience. How will you promote better cooperation between the city and county?
Wonderful. So the first thing I want to do is really emphasize that they are separate jurisdictions, and I always respect the differences between those jurisdictions and never impose my thoughts or will on the city council. However, I have always had an open door policy, and I've had the opportunity to work with a number of the city council members. When we started the Fire Resiliency Task Force last year, it was critical, and I made an invitation to the city mayor and the city fire chief, because they needed to be at the table. Additionally, when we had our Citizens Advisory Committee, we had 2 open seats, and I lobbied to get one of those open seats filled by a member that is part of the city, sorry, I'm having a senior moment, public, really sorry here. Planning Commission, thank you, whoever said that, the City Planning Commission. And then thirdly, emergency medical dispatch is another example. We implemented at the county level, and it was very important for me to see that the city, that our sheriff be working with the city police chief so that we can implement that at the city level. So lots of examples. Thank you for the question.
Lynn, can you repeat that again? I just want to make sure exactly.
How will you promote better cooperation between the city and county?
Well, if I'm elected, I would obviously represent someone who's worked obviously worked at the city as the mayor, to be able to communicate with my fellow board members on a more one-to-one basis. I think that I can get across to my fellow county board members who don't have the experience of what we have in the incorporated area, some of the issues that we have to deal with. I think it's more the personal one-on-one communications that really aren't happening so much these days, and that which kind of stemmed originally from the demise, or about to be demised, of the EDA, that really started the whole process. So, and that's unfortunate, and I think I can provide better communication with my fellow board members by having that experience. So.
Relationship building. You know, relationships is everything. You know, if you don't have the desire to talk to somebody and truly listen to somebody, your relationships are going to go no place. So I'm very good at relations. I've struggled through some very unique and very tough situations, working on emergency incidents, working on interagency agreements, working with different cooperators. Anything is possible as long as you have the desire to do it and you're willing to do it. A lot of the things that have happened, yes, there might be differences between the city and the county as far as their priorities and what they need to do. That's fine. We just need to recognize that and then respect each other, and we move on from there. So we can just, anything, like I said again, anything is possible. You just have to have the desire to do it and meet often and really talk to each other. Thank you.
Jim, if P and Q measure pass, will these monies be transparent where spent, not just put in the general funds and spent at will?
So, from what I understand of P and Q, that the money is set up for going into directly into the general fund. It would be my policy to make sure that those funds are properly allocated with the priority of public safety first. I think that our number one priority for being an elected leader is the safety of our citizens. So I think that's pretty much across the board between the three of us, as public safety comes first. I would make sure that that our budget process is obviously would be transparent, but it's hard to determine exactly what. 30 seconds. It's hard to determine exactly what you would spend stuff on when you don't know the exact ramifications of the shortages that will come. We haven't had that experience with the city. We haven't had to have layoffs or had cuts. So it'll be difficult to give you a direct answer what I would spend those additional funds on without, the whole picture. Those time's up.
David, you want the question again?
Yes, please.
Okay, if P and Q measure pass, will these monies be transparent where spent, not just put in the general funds and spent at will?
Okay, I'm not sure the legal portion of P with the TOT tax. I know on the sales tax that it can't be dedicated to public safety, because if it was, you would have to have a different vote. You would be going for a 2/3 vote to have that measure pass. So it's going to the general fund, so you can't guarantee that it's going to go to any specific area. I'm not sure on the TOT if that has to play by the same rules. The TOT, it's the program that's there, to do it. It's, to have people that are visiting our community, to help pay for some of the services that they use, like roads and emergency services. So they would be, funding those types of services that they use. Thank you.
Sherry, do you need the question again?
No, I don't. But I'm kind of surprised by the answers that I just heard, because both taxes would have to go into the general fund. They are not dedicated revenue. And then as a county supervisor, it is your job to figure out the best way those funds are utilized. And that is where public safety obviously is a piece that we talk an awful lot about. But everyone should realize that we do have a very lean and mean organization. We have a CRA department that is, their desk is closed so that they can process applications and move projects through the process. And so there are a number of areas that I think that in doing your due diligence, we would be looking budget-wide. Of course, law enforcement and public safety is going to be a piece of that. Thank you.
All right. This question, we will start with David. And it says, please give a definite opinion on commercial cannabis.
Okay. So, commercial cannabis. They passed legislation in 2016 that allows for it at the state level. And it came down, to my understanding, after some discussions, it came in 2018 that it was allowable. But each county has the option of choosing where they go with the commercial use of it. So one of the problems is in passing this legislation is that they did not define a lot of things that should go with it. And so those areas are left, there's a certain amount of unknowns that are out there. So it's difficult. You know, the county has a right not to. They make the decisions. So far, this county has elected not to pursue that, and that's fine. You know, they need to discuss that, you know, with the people and get, you know, the input, you know, from the, you know, residents of the county. So it, you know, there's a lot of different factors that go into this, so that, you know, that are not clearly defined out there, unfortunately, because the law came in and it wasn't, quite honestly, I don't think they were very prepared with all the information they needed. Thanks.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Please give a definite opinion on commercial cannabis.
Okay, so let's first understand that there are three distinct pillars. There is distribution, there is cultivation, and from a commercial perspective, and then there is development of some of like the edibles and the manufacturing side of it. 2.5 years ago, Tuolumne County spent an awful lot of resources having these very public conversations. We actually had a consultant in place, and it was very clear that the state was not getting the federal piece and the state piece were not aligning, and they were having some real difficulties. Agriculture, for example, is under the authority of your local ag department, and we don't even have a list on what would be legal pesticides and herbicides. So from my perspective, we need the state and the federal government, which means it will have to be delisted from a Class 1, Schedule 1 drug at the federal level to get alignment on those two pieces specifically. And then I would say that we had 4 electeds that came out very strongly against it.
Okay, so I'm open-minded toward commercial cannabis, but I think it should be very well regulated. I think the state and feds need to get their act in order before we even finish up that. If just the definition of Schedule 1 marijuana doesn't really follow what that is. So I think that was kind of a political decision a long time ago, and I think that needs to be revisited at the federal level. If we do go for commercial marijuana like they have in other areas, I think it should be very, very well regulated if we do go down that path. But I am open-minded for that. And I just want to quickly go back to the last question on the P&Q. That's obviously that goes into the general fund, but I just want to say that it's my priority that if I was elected, that it would be for public safety first. So just want to make that clear.
Sherry, we'll start with you. What experience do you possess that would lead the business community to believe your election would be positive for the business community?
So I'm going to point to the endorsements that I have. Proud of the endorsements. I'm proud of how many city businesses have endorsed me and have really expressed their faith in my leadership and what I have done for the community. And then, most recently, I don't think I have publicly thanked the Chamber. I received their 2019 Excellence in Government Award. And when you look at the Chamber of Commerce, they represent the businesses in Tuolumne County. And so as the recipient of that award, I really do believe it is an affirmation of the work that I have done on behalf of businesses, on both finding the way that they can expand and be profitable and be successful in Tuolumne County. Again, I believe we all have that, but get to the specifics. What specifically has an individual done? And my record stands for itself.
Okay. Well, first of all, I don't really go out and seek and try to get endorsements. I think that part of it is you tend to be beholden to the endorser, whether it's to do things that you need to do the right thing. You need to do the right thing for the general population of the county. So I don't do that. I think just our I know at the city, a lot of our regulations are bare bones. It's strictly what the state requires us to do. We don't have much, if at all, any added disincentive by regulation for business. So I think just being someone who supports business in our community and be the person with the open door to be able to get that person to the right people at our staff, and I can do that same thing at the county level.
So I've managed businesses. I've had my own consulting business. I understand managing large projects, large programs. All of these things, come together in ways that, businesses, when you have a group of small businesses especially, they have a lot of struggles that they have to go through, and they would appreciate, having somebody that understands, just has a business mind, knows how to handle budgets and how they work and what makes them go good or, in some cases, go bad. Excuse me. I've got project management skills that, definitely, are an asset in the business community. And more than anything else is that I have a willingness to listen and that I'm very, very honest. I'm a straight shooter, and I just don't play games. Some people, they may at times find that a little bit hard to take, but it's the best way to go, is being direct and honest with people. Thank you.
All right, here's the next question. Sherry.
I think it's me.
Oh, is it you?
Yeah.
Oh, my golly, it goes fast. How will transparency differ from, say, a year or two ago within the supervisors' private meetings to when you take office and beyond?
Can you repeat that?
I don't understand it either. How will transparency
Uh-huh.
differ from, say, a year or two ago within the supervisors' private meetings to when you take office and beyond?
Well, I'm not quite sure I understand
I don't either.
that question. The only thing I can probably think that might be going toward is, well, it might be a question towards the EDA for something. But I think, I know that the retreats that the county have been up in Rush Creek for, I'm not sure if it was last year, but the previous 2 years, which is quite a ways away from here in Sonora or anywhere where the population is located in here. So it would be hard for anyone to get up there, take a full day, and plus the drive to get up there to really participate in what's going on. The retreats are a situation where supervisors get together and discuss about future workshopping, what they want to do for the future. And I've always felt that should be if we're doing that should be as centrally located as possible to get the most people out there. And perhaps that's where that question is going toward. But I certainly think that any meeting that's not specifically town hall meeting for a certain area should be as open and public and televised and accessible for as many county residents as possible. So.
Okay, thank you. David.
Sure. Transparency is very important. And I think it's something that's been lacking in our county government for some time. I think it's pretty well recognized as such. The people want more transparency, and across the board, not just in meetings, but in budgets and just all kinds of areas. So when you're talking about meetings, if you have more than two people in a meeting, then if people are discussing business at the county level, then they're running up against the Brown Act. And so that creates some, problems at times for people, they believe, but in reality, that's there for a purpose. The Brown Act is there to protect people, to allow for the transparency to happen so that all these deals aren't being cut, in the back room without people being aware of it and being a part of it like they should be. Thank you.
Sherry?
Yeah, some of you may have watched the process unfold last summer. We had the most transparent budget process, and I'm incredibly proud of that we have ever had. We brought all of the departments in. It was a very public process, and we talked about those things that we are mandated to do, the funding streams that come along with them, and then what's left over. And I had tremendous feedback that was an exercise, while it was painful to watch, and it was painful for some of our employees because they were actually getting some threats. It was the most public, transparent piece of activity that I have ever been involved with at a county level, and I plan on that process, continuing with that kind of a process. I think it's incredibly important. And then remembering also that we have an awful lot of laws that tell us how we have to handle certain situations. And some of those are closed session, and again, the laws dictate that. We don't choose it, the laws dictate it.
Okay, good news, the last question. What do you think Tuolumne County supervisors can do to encourage young families to stay here instead of leaving for other areas of the state, state or country? We start with David.
First thing they can do is create an environment that makes, the young families want to stay here in the first place. There's a lot of reasons that our young people left. My son left, the county. He looked for a better employment, so livable wage is a huge thing. Affordable housing is incredibly tough to find in this county. Even the small amount of housing that might be available at, say, $250,000 for a house, there's very few of them out there, and it takes an income of about $54,000 a year or $30 an hour. We don't have that many jobs that pay that. So we have to work on the affordable housing. We have to work on, having jobs that pay a living wage. And in a lot of cases, the younger people, they really want things to do. They want culture in the county. They want different things to do. The arts is very important to this group. High-speed internet, having that availability is incredibly important as well. To be able to, a lot of people don't even want to rent a house or buy a house in an area if it doesn't have that high-speed connectivity. So we need to increase that and get that throughout the county as well. Thank you.
I'll actually say this is an area that I agree with what Mr. Goldenberg just said, but I'm going to give you some specifics on what I have done in that arena, because housing is an issue. Our new general plan, I am proud to say that I stepped up and was one of 2 supervisors that served on the county ad hoc committee to foster that general plan through. It was a document that was lingering when I came onto this board 7 years ago, and we did an awful lot of work, and I'm very proud that we were able to get that certified. And now the next piece is going to be, how do we look at the ordinances and have our ordinance codes align with that county general plan? Very important work, and again, I'm proud of all of the effort that I spent in that particular issue. We all want living wage jobs. That's going to mean that we need new capital, new investments in this community. And you have a board that's working very diligently, and that's with Mr. Cole Presbola, who we hired, and my time is up. Thank you.
Well, I think there's 2 real keys to it, and I actually agree with both David and Sherry on this, but the two major keys are affordable housing and find a way to get more affordable housing built here. We have a less than 1% vacancy rate in apartments. We have rooms that are being used for Airbnbs that could be available for residents. We need to find a way to find that happy medium from a owner to be able to do their Airbnb, but also to have a good stock of housing. The other key, I think, is education. I think that we need to work more with our local college and other outlying, the 4-year ancillary colleges, to build a workforce that is educated so that those businesses will relocate here, so we have more higher wage jobs for our community. And I guess my time's up.
Okay, that was the last question as promised. All right, thank you all. We're going to have the closing statements now. You have 2 minutes to do your closing statements, and again, we'll start with Sherry.
Well, thank you again for joining us this evening. There are a lot of very important topics, and your participation in the process is critical. I want to say that a county supervisor's job, because we wear so many different hats, is to find resources, to bring the tools to our community so that all of the experts that we have in the different departments, and we have a great team here. I think as we have been having these conversations, some of our team has been feeling like they have been attacked when we talk about transparency and some of those other topics. We have the most amazing workforce here in Tuolumne County. Our job as supervisors is to get them resources. If you look at my record, you will see that I have done exactly that. $10 million in the CCI grant, working through the Master Stewardship Agreement, because believe it or not, when your county is 78% public lands, you need to pay attention. And fire knows no jurisdictional boundaries. I have dedicated a lot of energy and time because I want our communities to be safe. We have to find answers to ingress and egress issues. We have a long list, but we are doing the things. I sat in a meeting yesterday in Sacramento where they asked counties to do 3 things. And it was all of the state agencies. And I had the opportunity to ask them what they were going to do for us because we had actually completed all 3 of the tasks that they were asking Tuolumne County to asking counties at large to do. And so I've had email communications already today asking for our coordination plan, our fire resiliency plan, and then our large landscape level coordinated plan with other counties. Again, Tuolumne County is stepping out and leading on these, and the state recognizes it. I do ask for your vote on or before March 3rd so that we can continue this very important work. Thank you.
Okay, I just want to mention, go ahead and reiterate the experience that I have at 18 years of different government and nonprofit boards and committees, experience at the county level, working knowledge of government, the proven track record of successful fiscal and operational oversight in both the public and private sectors. I'm kind of going to go off script a little bit. I think that we need to really work hard to bring the entities together. Supervisor Brennan mentioned about respecting jurisdictional boundaries, but we have limited resources, all of us, every single organization, and we need to really work together to get the best bang for our buck, regardless of what organization we belong to, and we're not doing that. There are things that we could partner with the city could partner with the county on homeless issues and different things, and the communication is not there. And what I would bring as a supervisor is someone who understands the city, what's going on in the city, and being able to communicate that one-on-one. I'm much better one-on-one than I am speaking in a large forum. And I think we need that communication to do what's best for all of us. And that's really where I'm coming from. So that's where I am.
My skills as a firefighter are ones that just have not been seen on this board in a long, long time. Having that background in emergency management personally allows me to understand things at a different level. I've managed very complex budgets, and I have very good success in doing that. I have some strong concerns about things that have been going on in the county and how they're handling our budget areas. This business of issuing out very large contracts for consultants, it's getting out of hand. The county has spent, upwards of over $800,000 in this fiscal year on consultants. Now, I understand we don't always have the people that, with the skill sets that we want as employees. One of my skill sets is project management. I had to have 4,000 hours of project management experience to become what's called a PMP, a professional. maybe we should be, as a county, sending some of the employees and get them those skill sets and quit hiring all these consultants to do that work. For one thing, you would bring to the table by having those employees having the in-depth knowledge about the county. You don't have to teach a consultant that part. If you give them the project management skills, they could go a long ways to doing many, many things in this county. You know, we just need to have a willingness to be able to talk to people. We've talked about this before, the transparency. Sure, the county did, you know, big things on the transparency this year, but my question is why, when revenues, I'm being told by the county staff, are going up and our county budget keeps sliding downhill? I know there's some mandates out there that are affecting the county. My understanding, it's only about 20% of our problem, though. Where's the other 80%? What's been going wrong? Thank you.
Okay, thank you all.
Tuolumne County Elections wants you to choose how you vote. Use a vote-by-mail ballot and return it by mail, at a drop box, or at any vote center, or vote in person at a vote center. Learn more by searching online for Tuolumne County Elections.
All right, our candidates have 1.5 minutes for opening statement, and we start with Kathleen.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's great to see so many involved constituents here tonight, and I want to thank the Tuolumne County Chamber of Commerce for putting this on. It's gratifying to see so many people want to be involved in local government. I just want to give you a little background because 1.5 minutes isn't very long. A little background on my careers. I've had 2 different distinct careers, one in private business enterprise where I own my own businesses or managed other bigger businesses, and that career was about 20 years. So I've got quite a bit of budget experience and controls and that kind of thing in those businesses. Then the second half of my career has been as a public servant, 17 of those years here in Tuolumne County. I started out as a social worker in 2000 and was promoted after a couple of years to the position of analyst for the human services. And then finally, I became a senior analyst here at the county administrator's office, where I was a budget analyst, Office of Emergency Services coordinator, a legislative analyst, and I run the Public Power Agency, and my time is up.
Is this on? No. Now it's on. I apologize. I'm a little bit under the weather, so I may be a little not less or a little less loud and a little slower today. I want to just say a couple of things, I guess. That is this. I'm going to talk about my experience a little bit differently than I normally would, I think, present in the beginning. And that is this. My experience has really gotten me making decisions in 2 different ways. One of those ways is very strategic, in that I know how to build. I know how to help communities to build healthily. I know how to make good decisions. I know how to be sustainable. And I'm bold with a lot of innovation. And the other piece of my decision-making is humanistic. I'm always family and youth-driven. I make decisions based around those things because I believe that they're part of their overall growth, the revenue, the education that we're talking about throughout the rest of the questions. Now, the experience itself. So in the community college network throughout the state of California, I've worked in numerous community colleges. Most of those I've been given very little, where I had to write grants to develop programs that were not there and that are there now serving hundreds, if not thousands of students that come onto campuses for foster care, homeless, and formerly incarcerated. I've worked with numerous county agencies, both in the state of California as well as the state of Arizona, and have dealt with multiple funding streams and multiple large budgets, having to make very difficult decisions. My time is up.
Okay, I held this one over from the last group. How will you promote better cooperation between the city and county? Kathleen, you're first.
Well, something I didn't tell you is that I am a group facilitator. I have had my own business where I've written grants, and I am a strategic planner and group facilitator. That means I'm the neutral party, and I help to bring diverse groups together, sometimes that are opposing parties, and I bring that to the table and offer that with, if I become a board of supervisors, I would offer that skill with the other board members that are here. So I hear in this particular forum, I hear some problems between the county and the city, and I would be looking for the middle path and we would start with what is working. What was working well between the city and the county, and then work from there to work out our individual problems with each other.
If I find the solution, that's kind of a mic drop moment there, isn't it? That was a big question up here several times, and it has been in several forums. I think that this has been helping for that question and that issue. I think that the conversation's out there, and I don't know all the details of what was or was not happening, but I think that this has been a part of that solution, that we've got all of these candidates, we've got all the city council, current supervisors that are out in the audience that are watching this, listening to this, and citizens that are watching this. And so this is part of the solution. And so it would be really continuing this conversation at each other's offices, going in and saying, all right, we're all dealing with the same problems. And so how do we collaborate and come together on those? So I don't think it's a matter of a really difficult, crazy, weird answer. It's really a matter of just continuing what's happening right now.
Damien, how will you advance cultural enrichment throughout the county?
I think it starts in our schools. You know, I think that we've got a younger generation of people that many of whom don't feel like they have a lot to do. And so going in and into the schools to ensure that the arts are in the schools, that sports are in the schools, that, you know, that they're understanding and learning tourism. I've gotten a great deal of education as it pertains to the ag programs here in our county now, being able to speak with many of those that are in the Farm Bureau and other groups. And so it's taking those kinds of opportunities to the schools. Real soon I'll be going in and doing a sports assembly at Tenaya Elementary because their sports programs have gone way downhill, and we struggle to find enough kids to fill teams. And so it's, you know, being innovative enough, but really being just directive and assertive enough to go in and start some of these conversations at the school level, so that we're not just attempting to solve a problem that we see right now, but we're actually building a pipeline of youth that will continue the solutions once we leave.
Okay, thank you. Kathleen.
Well, schools is a good place to start, but my mind is going to, I think it was a couple of years ago when the county did not even authorize a resolution to come before the board for the Arts Alliance. I don't know if it was called the Arts Alliance back then. So they couldn't even get funding. They couldn't get grant funding as a result. And in my view, that's criminal. It didn't even cost the county anything, and they refused. So I would start there and make sure that we do support our arts and our cultural, environment here, whether it's in the city of Sonora or anywhere in the county.
Next question, we'll start with Kathleen. How will broadband expand enterprise opportunity throughout the district and the county?
Wow, that's my question. Thank you. I'm a broadband advocate. It's in my platform. I was on the Central Sierra Connect Broadband Consortium. I was the grant manager for it for 3 years, actually 3+. And broadband is not something that's nice to have in this day and age. It is absolutely needed. It's needed for economic development. It's needed for our existing businesses. It's needed to bring businesses in. Heck, it's even needed for the ability of you to meet with your specialists at UC Davis in the comfort of your own home, where you don't have to travel all the way down there if your specialist has that ability. So broadband is critical.
Ditto. Just real quick, a quick plug. I know on the 19th, Central Sierra has having a broadband conference at the Blackout Casino, so it'd be real important for us to show up there as well. I think one of the things that some of the conversations I've been about broadband has been this, is that a whole lot of money was being looked at or spent in the marketing of attempting to bring broadband from somewhere to here. And then I've had numerous conversations with companies that are here in the county currently that are already here and want to expand. They've just run into many roadblocks. And so for me, it's a matter of taking the companies that are here, the Conifers and CalNet, I believe is what they're called, CalNet, and allowing them to spend the money that they have and really getting out of the way, reducing some of the barriers that they're running into, some of the red tape that they've noticed jumping in front of them. And so it's really kind of clearing their path more than anything else, I think.
Damien, we'll start with you.
Yes.
This is, I'm going to recast this question just a bit. It's a real if question. If propositions P and Q don't pass, how would you prioritize the budget reductions that could be needed to general fund departments?
One of the things that I noticed in looking at the 447 pages of the budget, wasn't able to memorize it all, so I apologize for that. But one of the things that I was looking at in looking at previous years and what we were talking about as far as budget cuts last year compared to this year is that last year we did a bunch of cuts and then replaced them and added more. And so, we're going to look at, we have to look at opportunities to save money, but more than anything else, we need to look at opportunities such as we were just talking about, broadband companies wanting to spend money. These are companies. We need companies that want to spend money currently right now. We need them to have a clear path to spending that money and bringing it here. And so the sooner that we can do that, and I know that the county is now working on, and I've had conversations with others recently, that the county is working on opportunities to clear that path, to make it easier for businesses to grow. I know that there are several projects that are current in the county, some housing projects, East Sonora and otherwise, some other building projects that are up in the 120 corridor and things of that nature. And so it's really about supporting that more than anything else. But looking at any opportunities at making actual cuts like we had talked about last about. I mean, we always have to look at those opportunities. But we replaced the cuts that we had made. We just kind of shuffled things around last year. So it's time up.
I'd like that question restated, please.
If propositions P and Q don't pass, how will you prioritize the budget reductions to the general fund departments that could be needed?
All right. My first thought is that we need to do everything we can possibly do in our power to educate people right now why these two tax measures need to pass. I can't even think about prioritizing, and it won't be my job, it'll be the board that we have now to do that. If I win the election, it'll be in January 2021. So what I am doing right now is to prioritize educating the public as to what it means to our county budget if we are able to pass that tax measure. I'm not going there if we're not. And what it means is restoring our departments that have been decimated over not just the past couple of years, but over a decade. And equipment and services, they're all down the tube right now. We have to pass this tax measure. Thank you.
Got to turn that on. Kathleen, I think you're up. Would you support designating Tuolumne County as a sanctuary city, and why? Or county. I should say county, not city.
Would I support
designating Tuolumne County as a sanctuary county?
I'm not sure where we stand right now. I think we stand as not. Is that correct? So I've talked to Sheriff Pooley about this, and he says that it's negligible, the amount of criminal activity that is done on our streets in Tuolumne County that are done by people that are not from here, that are considered illegal immigrants. It's 0.0 something. It's really, really low. So I don't think I'd waste my time with that. And that's my answer.
Damien? There's some more.
The answer is no. I would not support that. And one of the things, if we look at statistics, one of the things about illegal immigration is that the percentage of those that are in prisons, illegal immigrants, is a higher percentage-wise than those that are not illegal immigrants in prison. So it may be somewhat of a fraction here, and I don't know the exact statistic for our county, but it is a larger percentage for sure. So the answer is no.
Okay, you're it up.
Okay, we'll start with Damien. This is short and sweet. What is your opinion of measures P and Q?
Short and sweet. I think I even know who asked that question. I seem to remember that gentleman asking this similar question. My opinion is that we cannot tax ourselves into prosperity. My opinion is that the tax measure is out there, and now it's up to the voters. I am but one vote, just like everybody else. But the idea, for me, it's always been my idea that if we are to have a conversation about raising taxes, I want to have just as clear how much we're getting in, where the money's going to go as far as is it, for revenue, additional revenue plans, where's that money going to go? What is needed for additional revenue plans? I want as clear a plan for an additional revenue plan right alongside. I want it to be paralleled any conversation about tax raises. That's my opinion.
Okay, so what is my opinion about each tax measure in 1 minute or less, right? My opinion about the sales tax, other than what I've already said, is that right now 6 cents of the 7.25 cents, which is the base amount, we've never risen our sales tax, goes to the state, 6%. And the 1.25 goes to the county. So if this measure were to pass, P, we would get 2.15%. Boy, 30 seconds. So going on to the TOT tax, all of that money currently, the 10%, comes to the county. None of it goes to the state. It goes to paying for the services that our tourists use in their lodging, and they need to pay their fair share. And so an extra 2% on that is not unreasonable. It's still less than Mariposa County. I know we compete with them for tourist dollars, but they still have a 1% on top, another type of a tourist tax on top, and my time is up. I could go on.
Damien, what would you like to see done in the community regarding the increasing crime rate?
The first thing is I want increasing crime rate about what kind of crime are we talking about? I'd like to know the statistics of what we're actually talking about as far as crime. So working very closely with the Sheriff's Department would be critical. The other thing is, obviously, our new jail is going to be a tremendous, what I believe is a tremendous asset to helping to fight crime. And so supporting the staffing and supporting the operation of our new jail. And then going out into, I think one of the things that I understand about crime in general is during the 80s and into the 90s, there was a large decrease in specific types of crime, and that was based not on the idea that there was Say No to Drugs and other drug initiatives that were out there, but it was actually on education. So statistically, getting ourselves out there into the schools and educating those that are in the schools, the youth, so that that sustainable education continues throughout our county, that would be one of the big opportunities for us to be able to fight crime in general. And so supporting our sheriff's department, supporting our new jail, and getting into the schools is a big thing. And then having more opportunities for youth in general. We've got a lot of youth that have time, and if they don't have something to do with the time, they do something with it that oftentimes we don't like. So thank you.
All right, my view. Jail should only be used as a final resort. I don't think jail in most cases is the answer. I think our county would do well by researching various issues. Like, I know most of our criminal element has been drug-related in some way, shape, or form. So I think we need to study those jurisdictions or even those countries worldwide that have done a good job at rehab and at addressing the core issues and not just incarcerating people.
Okay, thank you. All right, you have 2 minutes for closing statements now. And we'll start with Kathleen.
All right, thank you. Well, the first thing I'd like to do is reaffirm that this race, any supervisorial race, is a nonpartisan race. I think the focus should be on the community needs and not party affiliation. What matters most is who is most experienced for the job to take the position. Who is most capable? Who is most approachable? And who can be the best advocate for their constituents? Also, who listens? And who has the ability to act on what they've heard? In closing, I'd like to stress a passage that I sent out in a mailer that I had. I sent out in February. It looks like this. And the statement that was made on it says just this: I have not requested or accepted endorsements, sponsorship, or donations from any special interest group or political party in my campaign to become your representative as the District 4 supervisor. My sincerest desire is to represent you and all of your best interests. Thank you.
Going off of 3 things that I think were just mentioned: experience, listen, and act. For the past 15 years, I've worked in county governments. I've worked in nonprofits throughout the entire state of California, most of the time having to build the programs that are now sustained currently, serving hundreds, if not thousands, of young families, those that are in foster care, homeless, formerly incarcerated, which of course comes with that, that particular population of people, a lot of very complex things that have to be worked out. And so as far as listening and acting, there is a collaborative there are collaborative partnerships that must happen to be able to do those kinds of things. And so for me, I've been doing that for the last 15 years extremely well. If you look at my resume and contact any organization, whether that be government or nonprofit, every one of them has the current programs that I've helped to build. The community health is still there. They're sustaining, they're thriving, they've grown immensely, and every one of them is very successful. So as far as experience, I've got a lot of it. Listening, takes a lot of listening to build what I've built over the last 15 years. And as far as acting, there's a lot of that out there. So I'll do that for this county, and I appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Tuolumne County Elections wants you to choose how you vote. Use a vote-by-mail ballot and return it by mail, at a drop box, or at any vote center, or vote in person at a vote center. Learn more by searching online for Tuolumne County Elections.
We're going to start off with candidate introductions. You have 1 minute and 30 seconds. And Carl, we're going to start with you.
Okay, thank you. I am running for re-election because this job is very important. Experience makes a difference. Established relationships are key to constructively influencing outcomes. Clear judgment is needed to achieve the right decisions. Decisive leadership is crucial to moving the county government forward. Over the past 7 years, I have developed and demonstrated all those qualities. We have come far together through a great deal we never expected to have to deal with. Yet when faced with adversity and challenges of 6 previous and now a 7th county state of emergency, we got through it all together and didn't miss a beat. I don't know what the future will bring, but we do need to continue to emphasize public safety as our #1 priority, including law enforcement and fire safety and resiliency. We also need to continue to improve our economy, our housing availability and insurability, our roads and facilities, while addressing the needs of our vulnerable populations, such as seniors, veterans, and our homeless. Those are my priorities, and I want to continue the important work we have been achieving together. I ask you to re-elect me, Carl Rutherford, your District 5 Supervisor. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm honored to address the doers, the makers, the builders of this community, the bedrock, because without the tax dollars that you generate, without the businesses you run, without the labor you contribute, nothing can be done in the government here. You are the ones that truly build everything that we are talking about tonight. My name is Jaron Brandon. I'm a son of a small business owner and a musician, born and raised local, and I'm a bit different. Since this campaign started, what I heard was long shot. I would meet with several people talking about it. What do you think? And they'd say, you know, it's going to be a great experience because you're going to lose. But you're going to learn so much. And suddenly, I think through hard work and a vision that has resonated with people, issues that have resonated with people, we suddenly see what has become, I think, a viable campaign. And I'm proud to say sometimes surprises me, a movement that has taken on a little bit of a life of its own in our county. Wow, that's really short. Well, I see that we had a lot of issues we were not talking about. Housing, feeling voiceless, powerless, and trying to make a living here, and that young people were fleeing. We needed someone to step up and say it was not all peachy keen, that the people deserve to be empowered, they deserve to be heard and have a seat at the table, and that we need new ideas, new energy, and new blood. I'll close in saying, and you may find this very surprising, Carl, that I respect you because it's a hard job, and I know that you do a lot of hard work. In that, I hope that if I win and when I win, I'll be able to benefit from that experience. Thank you.
First of all, thank you, Tuolumne County Chamber of Commerce, for inviting us here. My name is Mike Seuss, and I am running for District 5 Supervisor. Why am I running? I've always had a desire to give back to this community. I've been a lifelong resident here. I've attended Sonora Parent Nursery, Modelo Christian, Sonora Elementary, Sonora High School, and graduated from Columbia College. The other big graduation I had was from Leadership Tuolumne County. I was lead captain of the Children's Park Project. I've been a member of 49 Rotary, and last year I had the great honor to ride into the grand entry as your Tuolumne County Sheriff's Posse captain, along with my sister. I met my wife in Tuolumne County. We are raising our 3 beautiful daughters up here. I want to give them the same safe experiences that I had growing up here. I've been an independent insurance broker for 20 years. I own my own business. I know what it's like to stay within a budget. I believe in transparency, honesty, communication, and accountability. I want to protect our public funds, stop wasteful spending, provide support to our law enforcement and our emergency responders. I want to be an advocate for our seniors and for our veterans of this county. And most importantly, I want to listen to you, the county, and District 5. Please vote for Mike Seuss.
Carl, we'll start with you. How will you promote better cooperation between the city and county?
Well, I think we've got a history of need good cooperation. I think the unfortunate recent circumstances are an aberration. I just think we need to go back and start working together the way we used to. We have a JPA, Tuolumne County Transportation Council, that we're working with the city on. I think there are ways that we can do things better for both of us working together. We've tried to consolidate things like the 911 service. I think we can look at those things. And I think the homeless situation is a classic example of where we're going to need cooperation, not just between the city and the county, but public and private partnerships as well. So I would pursue those.
I think the first step into building any strategic partnership like that, it's all people. It's getting to know them, and as Mark mentioned earlier, sometimes going over, having a glass of wine, getting to know the people that are behind it. And I feel very confident that with all the members of City Council and those running, I have an effective, collaborative relationship that I think coming into office is going to be very important. City of Sonora is our closest and one of the most important strategic partners. I think that is one particular issue where we've seen the county burn that bridge. And unfortunately, I think the relationship is irreparable. Just tonight was a letter served about the State of Jefferson forum that had happened earlier, mentioning about how incumbent had said that one of the sitting members of City Council should be indicted and would take to the DA. That doesn't build strategic partnerships. That is, even as a candidate running a campaign, to say that we are going to build that for the future, actively sabotaging it. That's something that I think we have to stop.
I'm sorry, can you repeat it one more time? I apologize.
How will you promote better cooperation between the city and the county?
Oh, this is right in my wheelhouse. As a business owner, I understand that we're not always going to get along and be on the same page. Trust me, I get this. I've been selling insurance for the last 20 years. There have been people that have been mad at me since day one. I get it. But when it comes to the city and the county getting back together and talking again, it needs to happen. And I'll make it happen because it's that important to me, because the city and the county need to work together to grow what we need to do. That's the bottom line. Put our feelings to the side, put everything away, and start working together. Thank you.
I can start with Jordan. Okay. What experience do you possess that would lead the business community to believe your election would be positive for the business community?
I do come in with some real life experience. I grew up in a local business in Tuolumne County my entire life. I jokingly had in that handout, I've been selling guitar strings since I was 1 year old. I've seen the transition from a traditional retail store to one that's competing with Musician's Friend and Amazon and a lot of the issues that I think modern businesses face. I'm also in the position as a young person, born here, a young professional, in seeing a lot of our career jobs, a lot of our industries being replaced with what I'm calling franchise-ification. I mean, it's Dollar General jobs, fast food. We're creating revenue, but are we building wealth in our community? And I don't see that. So I'd say I'm uniquely tailored in the fact that I face these issues. I think, what a lot of us want to be able to retain and bring back here. Young folks raised here that care about this community, want to start a business, want to raise a family. And I also believe working as a retail employee and working in a family retail store, I look out and see a lot of small businesses that make our area charming and lovely and wonderful, and I don't know what we've really been doing to help them. We may build large lodges that I think are good for our economy. We may bring in gas stations or additional commercial development, but I don't know if we're really saying this is the Tuolumne County we want to be in the future and protecting that. Small family business, local entrepreneurs, and trying to, I think, make Tuolumne County open for business.
Okay, thank you. Mike?
Can you repeat that one more time? I apologize.
What experience do you possess that would lead the business community to believe your election would be positive for the business community?
Well, I am the only one up here that has a business that I run myself. I am a business owner. How will that be beneficial to the county? I know what it takes to keep the doors open. I know how to work within a budget. I know how to sign the front of a check and how it works. Bottom line is this. My father started a business back here in 1978. We have it keeping going strong. I do know what it's like to run the business, and I do know how to be business friendly from a county perspective. Thank you.
Thank you. Carl?
So I think the important thing in getting business here is to have a strategic plan. And I believe that you're going to see a very strong strategic plan for attraction and retention of business coming out of the county here very shortly. We've been working on that since Cole Prisbilla got hired, and it's going to become unveiled here very, very shortly. So I think that the county is already working on this. It's very important. Everything that everybody has said up here is absolutely true. Our focus needs to be on those things that are high return for our people and also for our county.
Thank you.
Okay, the next question, we'll start with Mike.
Thank you, sir.
Should the board use in-house staff to do feasibility studies rather than the highly costly consultants?
100% so. I believe in utilizing the staff we have here. The staff, the employees that we have working for Tuolumne County are unbelievable. They've done so much with so little financial backing. We need to count on them. They know what this county is about. People from outside this county do not know how we work, how we run this place. This is our county, so let's utilize the people we have here. Thank you.
Sure. I think the correct answer is it takes a mix. There are things that our county staff is qualified to do, and there are things that they're actually staffed to do. Most of the time when we contract things out, it's because our staff is fully engaged otherwise in doing the daily duties. And then we do contract out some of the work. When we do that, we go through an RFP process and we select the best candidate. To just blanket say we should always use our staff, well, we are using them. They're working hard. They're already fully employed. They don't have time in many cases to do this, and it goes back to the budget question that was asked in the last group. We can't always do it. So it's a balance.
Before any RFP process where we start asking professional consultants to come in from out of area on every single issue, and apologies because this is not exactly the question, I'd say there's even a first starting point, and that's going out to the people in our community and asking them for ideas and solutions, building that relationship. We have statistically about 450 masters and PhD people just in District 5. We have a lot of very talented people. And I believe that as supervisor, that's a position to go out, be able to use the office to bring people together and put together that proposal and be able to say, what can we do here locally? Maybe present that to staff who are already hugely overburdened. It's not a matter of saying no to paid consultant studies. There's a role for them. But it's saying we should do everything else that we can first to make sure that it's done here by people that understand our community, and especially when we're talking about cutting offices and putting ones like DA and law enforcement, all these groups under huge financial pressure, we need to be more careful with our money.
Carl, how will you advance cultural enrichment throughout the county?
I'm sorry, say that again.
How will you advance cultural enrichment throughout the county?
Well, first of all, I'm a personal, very strong supporter of a whole bunch of cultural enrichment programs, arts being one. It is vital, okay, that we have our cultural heritage supported. Personally, I think that, again, I go back to the right way to do that is through public-private partnerships. They work extremely well. Government cannot be the answer to all answers to all people on all issues. So I think through fostering good, strong public-private partnerships, alliances. I support the Arts Alliance personally. I support our educational programs. My wife's on a school board. I think that the answer is, again, a combination of things. And I think we're doing pretty much a fairly good job of doing that, and we could do better.
I think when push comes to shove, we have seen arts lose, frankly, at the county level. We have a zeroed out line item when, as candidate Half was talking about, the resolution to simply support Tuolumne County Arts, recognizing it as the official body for grant eligibility, that took months and months and months on the campaign talking about it before that was finally something that ended up getting addressed for free, something that was a resolution that could be done quickly. What would I personally do? Well, I grew up in the arts community, and to me, it would be an honor to serve as a supervisor, actually working directly with Tuolumne County Arts, with the Film Commission, and seeing where we can be able to do more. I wouldn't cut it down to $0, where they don't even have money, seed money, for a fundraiser. Being able to offer a minimal amount that at least they're able to go out and do something in the community. And I think we've had, luckily, a lot of artists and musicians and event organizers step up, but I think the county can make it a lot easier in promoting arts and supporting arts.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm a huge supporter of the arts. As many of you have heard, maybe at the last, at the Motherlode Women's Voters Network, I kind of got forced into it to be a supporter of the arts because I wasn't a great kid growing up. But I fell in love with it. I really did. SRT. I've also worked at the Strawberry Music Festival a couple years ago. The arts are important. It starts at the high school and elementary level, and we need to push that there so they can understand there's more than just math and science there. There's arts, there's other things available to them as they come out of school. Thank you.
I guess, Sharon. What life experience qualifies you to run for supervisor? To deal with the unforeseen emergencies and challenges of the office?
Thank you for your question. So we talked a little bit about what my background is for business experience, but a little bit about what else that I did. You know, here, I wasn't as involved as, looking back, I wish I was. And it wasn't until college that I learned one person can make a huge difference. And what was my background? It was voter registration and community organizing and student leadership, where I had 6,000 constituents. And I would have to sit across from congressmen and state senators and assembly folks, a chancellor paid $400,000 or $500,000, and effectively represent students in a scenario of huge power imbalance. And I struggled, and it was difficult, and I learned from every single mistake. You know, I think, what life experience do I bring into this? I've worked in several government offices. I've built relationships around the state with folks not only running for office, but staffers, people in the government currently. And I think I can use all of that. And I can't underestimate that it's very important to have someone with local roots here. And I do have that. I think being able to draw upon the community, draw upon all the people we meet every single day walking in the music community, being able to bring people together. I think that's something that transcends even just having a length of experience. I believe I bring in a good breadth of experience, and that is extremely important for this position. I think it also is important to say that I might not have too much experience. I come in with new ideas, an open mind, and I want to be able to see what have we been doing well, but where can we make improvements.
Okay, thank you. Mike?
Thank you. Can you repeat it one more time? I'm sorry.
What life experience qualifies you to run for supervisor? To deal with the unforeseen emergencies and challenges of the office?
Ma'am, to answer this question, I do believe I have the mature judgment to handle this position. I do have the experience. You may ask how and why and when. My answer to you is this. About 8 years ago, we had a huge change to our insurance industry. It's called the Affordable Care Act. That was huge. We had to change everything up on how we did business. We had to adapt. We had to overcome. We had to find the right solutions to everybody. There's going to be a time in this county when we have emergency problems come up. And it's going to take a good leader with a level head to come in and say, okay, we need to find the right people that are experts to take care of this for us. And we're going to find a way to do it. And I'm going to be that person that's going to stand in front of them and say, yes, we need you, we need your input, and we need to be able to listen to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Carl, you want the question again?
Pardon me?
Do you want the question?
No, I've got the question.
Okay.
First of all, 23 years in the United States Air Force, in every leadership position up through and including running a flying squadron operation of 24 aircraft and about 40 pilots. Another 5 years at the Pentagon working in the Air Force budget, where at the end of my tour, I was managing 1/5 of the United States Air Force's operational budget and leading a team aboard, making recommendations to the Chief of Staff of the Air Force on tens of billions of dollars. I've also spent 7 years in this job, looking at all the budgets and doing all of the stuff, including working with congressional congressmen and their staffs, including working with assemblymen and senators in our state and their staffs, working with CSAC, NACO, RCRC, all of our associations. Thank you.
Okay, we'll start again with Mike here. What's your opinion of measures P and Q?
Thank you, sir. I'm always going to be in support of our law enforcement and our first responders, emergency responders. We need to take care of them. They check in every night with their families, and they don't know if they're coming home. So I'm always going to be in support of our law enforcement. However, I don't think we arrived to this the right way. The lack of oversight, the lack of spending within our means has created this issue of bringing these taxes onto us. Money doesn't solve money problems. The cause of this issue is usually a lack of oversight and a lack of control. Money problems are never solved by throwing more money at it. But I do believe that we need to take care of our law enforcement and our public safety officers no matter what. Thank you.
Sure. First of all, I am not in favor of tax increases. I want that make that perfectly clear. But we have been trying since the economic downturn to recover from that downturn. Our revenues in this county are increasing and have been increasing every year. Unfortunately, the cost of doing business is increasing faster than the revenues are increasing, and it has been the whole time I've been in this office. The reality is, if we don't have measures P and Q, the decisions that the board is going to have to make now and in future years are going to be very, very difficult and not pleasant decisions for any of us to make. I support voting yes on P and Q. We need them both. Thank you.
I support voting yes on both tax measures, and I did so when it was not politically convenient, when I knew there would be blowback and people that said that that is something that you shouldn't be doing on a campaign. I did so because everything I've learned about the county says that we need this, and it's unfortunate that this is the way that we arrived at it after losing $5 million and still paying Larry Cope's pension from the TCEDA scandal, after being hooked into a juvenile prison that's going to be costing us well over $1 million a year, and wasting, more importantly, 10 years that we could have been using to develop our economy, because that does not happen overnight. We need a long-term revenue solution, but this will patch it. And I would never put something like this on the ballot in its most aggressive form and wait till the very last minute to say meekly that I support it, but not really put any campaign to try and inform the public and get them to support it. To support public safety and the work of the staff here, you have to support these tax measures, not just in name only.
I I've lost track again. Whose turn is it?
I think it's mine. You're my question asker, apparently.
I guess so. What is your position on commercial cultivation in Tuolumne County?
Well, right now, I'm not in favor of it, just to be quite blunt. There may be a time in the future, if circumstances change, that I might be willing to reconsider that under certain very controlled circumstances. That time is not right now. I will tell you that there are two myths about commercial cultivation of marijuana. One is that it is a net revenue generator, and there is not a single jurisdiction where it is legal that it is generating a net revenue increase. The costs associated with it are greatly outstrip the revenue that it brings in. The other one is that the only way to get rid of illegal marijuana grows is to have legal cultivation. The truth is, in virtually every single jurisdiction that has legal cultivation, the illegal activity has actually increased. I have been watching this through NACO across a number of states and a number of counties. And those are the simple facts. And I'm not willing to put those facts on the table here in this county.
I support the commercial cultivation of cannabis, and the reason is we are in a financial position where we're talking about closing libraries or cutting the bookmobile, which is the only library service to District 5 besides the Book Nooks. We're talking about cuts to the sheriffs. We're talking about roads already crumbling, having even less maintenance. We are up against a financial wall, and in trying to generate revenue and be able to build our economy here, I will look at every single option, including commercial cannabis. I don't believe that that is correct because there are places that have tried this and many examples. Carpinteria, Durango, Fort Collins, Grover Beach, Southern Oregon, Juneau, Kirkland, Pacifica, Santa Rosa. This is not the Wild West weed scenario it used to be. We are in a position where we can be able to ride this and take advantage of it. Hands on the steering wheel, foot on the brake. We can be able to be policymakers, but we can't start with, I oppose this and I will spend a lot of money on studies and then oppose it again. We have to say, we're going to patch holes, not just poke them.
Can you repeat it one more time? I'm sorry.
What is your position on commercial cultivation in Tuolumne County?
As of right now, I am not in favor of it. I don't know enough about it. We don't know how it affects the watershed. We don't know how the fertilizers or the pesticides affect our drinking water. We don't know how it affects all that runoff. The biggest thing we have to worry about in this county as a county supervisor is our public safety. And if we can't drink the water that's coming off those hills, we got issues. Now, speaking as a father of 3 daughters, I'm not in favor of it. It's not allowed in my house. But I understand the medicinal purposes of it. I don't want to be caught in the same situation I was a couple months ago with my 6th grader coming up to me and saying, Dad, they're smoking weed in the bathroom at an elementary school. I'm not ready to deal with that yet. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll have the closing statements now. 2 minutes. Carl, we'll start with you.
Okay. As I said earlier, we have come through a lot together over the past 7 years that I've been in office. When faced with adversity and challenges, we got through it all by working hard together and continuing to move forward. We need to continue that. No one can foretell what the future will bring. One thing is for sure, our state constitution mandates that we continue to emphasize public safety as our #1 priority, and I will. We also need to continue improving those things I've already talked about, our economy, our housing availability and insurability, our roads and facilities, while still addressing the needs of our vulnerable populations, such as our seniors, our veterans, and our homeless. Those are my priorities, and I want to continue the important work and expand on the very real achievements we have accomplished together. Experience does make a tremendous difference. Established relationships are absolutely key to constructively influencing outcomes. Clear judgment is necessary to making the right decisions. Decisive leadership is crucial to moving the county government forward. Over the past 7 years, I have demonstrated all those qualities. This is a serious job dealing with serious issues. Our decisions have serious consequences. I ask you to seriously consider who is most qualified for this position. I am confident that if you do so, you will vote to re-elect me, Carl Rodefer, your District 5 Supervisor. Thank you very much, and thank you to the Chamber for having this event.
As what has been termed potentially the most unserious, immature, unqualified campaign up here, I want to state that we, and I hear this across the entire community, have a desire for young people to stay and to take leadership and to get involved and take ownership in this community. I stepped up at personal risk and against great odds, against a two-term incumbent at the time, and then again, because we needed change. And I was willing to fight that battle, to be able to fight for the people of Tuolumne County, because not everything is peachy keen. It's not all going perfectly well. We are finding that people are truly struggling when the month's end comes around. And I feel like a lot of people feel we're not on a path that has a clear vision of the future, of what we're building here. What may happen in closed doors up here, what may happen at CSAC could be good. Yet the public has never been able to be brought into that process to show them the good work that's happening, to let them participate. And in fact, I think we've had a county government that has generally opposed public input in a large way. I think the staff have made significant efforts to improve that, and they are to be commended, but it is up to the elected leaders to also demonstrate that change. I'd like to state again that, knowledge and wisdom, they can be borrowed. They can be shared. What's important to have someone that may not have as much life experience is not only to have new ideas and an open mind, but to listen and to hear people and to invite people to the process. I was not kidding at the last debate. It was not just a punchline. That when I plan to win and when I'm on the board, I will ask you for help. I brought up at a town hall, what would I do in the crises? I can respect that on several topics. I really respect the work that you've done. I really respect the effort you put in, and I will work hard for you, Tuolumne County. I will work hard to serve you and to learn and to invite people to the process to build a Tuolumne County for all of us.
Once again, thank you, Tuolumne County Chamber of Commerce, for inviting us here. My name is Mike Seuss, and I am running for District 5 Supervisor. My campaign slogan is simple: restore trust. I believe the citizens of Tuolumne County have lost some of that trust in their elected officials. Being a good leader requires you to listen first. And I want to listen to the voters of District 5 and of Tuolumne County. I want you to know that I want to support our ag community and will protect and preserve the Williamson Act here in Tuolumne County. I want to fully understand how the TCEDA and Larry Cope, that whole fiasco, came to be in order to learn from the mistakes that happened and move forward to a better future. I want to build a relationship back again with the county, the city, and the citizens of Tuolumne County. I support and appreciate our county staff and employees and what they're asked to do on a limited budget, less staffing, and more demands. I trust their abilities and their professionalism to work with local, state, and federal entities. I will return your phone calls. I will return your emails. And above all, I want to listen and hear all points of view when it comes to the matters of Tuolumne County. I grew up in Tuolumne County realizing my word and my handshake is the most valuable thing I have. I don't have buttons. I don't have signs. I don't have a whole lot of that stuff. But I will give you my word. I will do my best to be your best District 5 supervisor. Thank you.
Thank you all. You're relieved. All right, thank you all for coming out. On behalf of the Tuolumne County Chamber of Commerce, the citizens of this county, I want to thank all of the candidates who came out tonight.
Hey, I think she's speaking.
Speak up, Candace, don't be shy.
I want
Candace,
to
go ahead.
thank all of the candidates. Is this on? Okay.
Hey, we're not done, please. Please. She's closing.
Hi. Okay, again, I just want to thank all of the candidates for coming out and participating in this event. Thank you all for showing up for them. They have given their time to public service. They show a desire to make this county a better place, to live, to work, to have businesses, to have our families. I want to thank everybody from the board of directors of the chamber, our ambassadors, the GAC committee for making tonight a success. To all of you present here tonight, these candidates are looking for your vote. You have heard some of their views, their plans for our community. We at the Chamber hope that you come away from this forum more informed and more confident in your next step in the electoral process. Vote. It's your constitutional right and your civic duty. Be sure to get out there and get to your polling places or your mail-in ballots by March 3rd. Many of the candidates have said that they would stick around for a few minutes after the event. So please take advantage of that, ask your questions, and everybody have a good night and get home safely.